Yeah, hello and welcome to another weekly Spielworxx chat. We are having a guest today. It's Ignacy Trzewiczek of Portal Games. So, welcome, Ignacy. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
That's wonderful. And before we start with Ignacy, let me mention a few Spielworxx news. So, as you probably know, the pre orders for the cost are still running, and a few items of the 10 years of Spielworxx sale, they are at least temporarily sold out. So, if you are looking for them, it could be that they are available in very small numbers in a couple of days again. And if you have just ordered the Grand Trunk Journey and or Throne of Allegoria, please be patient. There are some shipping delays because I'm actually changing shippers right now. And once this transition is completed, service should be and will improve. So thank you very much. And speaking about the cost, there will be a live stream of the game using Tabletop Simulator on July 25, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 9 p.m. Central European Time. And this stream will be run by Heavy Cardboard and the design team of the cost. So if you'd like to know more about the game, so please mark that date in your calendar. Speaking of Grand Trunk Journey, I will present the game on July 31 at BGG Conline, so more details here next week about this. And yes, even the Merz Verlag listens to our show, so Dominique herself, she gave me a call today and we were talking about Spiel Digital, and that was very nice, Dominique, so love from Billabü here. But now back to Ignacy. Please give us some personal background of you.
So I'm owner of Portal Games, a board game company from Poland. I design games, I run the whole company. I started it in 1999, so 21 years ago. Basically, I dropped college, told my parents that I want to do games. As I always say, they should kill me, but they didn't. They allowed me to this crazy idea. And for many years, I was struggling because I was very young. There was no industry basically in Poland back then. So I was basically building the whole industry. So I have a place to sell games. And over, year after year, the company was growing. The turning point, you mentioned Mrs. Dominique Metzler. For me, turning point, the Essen 2007 Portal Games for the first time came for Spiel Essen with Neroshima Hex.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a big change. Like I met international partners, we made the first collaborations, we were able to license our games to other partners, and it was like a wind, in the back. And the company started, and now, with the 20 years experience in the industry, well, we are doing games for Polish market, we are doing games for American market. We of course license games all over the place. Our best sellers have like 12 or 13 editions in Japan, in Brazil, in Korea, many countries. So over these 20 years, a ton of adventures, a ton of difficult times, a ton of great times, but overall, I'm very proud of what we have here.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, and by the way, to the viewers, to the listeners, if you have a question, please put them probably for Ignacy. Please put them in the chat window. If we have time at the end, we will try to answer them. But getting back to you and to starting Portal games. So you mentioned you are still a young person, but at that time you were very young. But what was the reason to start a tabletop gaming industry? Obviously, you were a gamer, I imagine, but still, it's that transition from being a gamer and then starting a gaming company. So, what was that decision, or what influenced that?
Yeah, there was a couple of small lucky steps. So as every student on this planet, when you are a student, you have no money. This is what we do when we are young. So I tried to. I wanted to have some money. I wanted to earn money, and because I was a role-playing gamer, and I ran a gaming club, etc. I wrote scenarios, adventures for role-playing games, and I sent them for publication to the Polish magazine about role-playing games. They accepted these materials, they published them, They became very popular. They ordered more text from me. Apparently, I knew how to write good. And for the couple of months, my student salary was not working for McDonald's or doing some other jobs, but I was writer. I was writing and I got paid. And I became famous among Polish role-playing gamers. I was writing the Adventures for Warhammer, which was very popular in Poland. And at some point, I finished the 4th year of college, so there was only 1 year left. And I felt like I was already a star for role-playing games scene in Poland, and everybody wanted to read my articles. And my other decision was to finish the college and become engineer. And I felt that being, writer for role-playing games is so much more interesting. So I said to my parents, "Let me try." So the deal with my parents was that I took a 1 year break from the college. I started a magazine about the role-playing game, so I was publishing a magazine, very small project. And if the project succeeded, I will never get back to college. If the project will fail, my parents told me, "You go back to the college." And after this year, of course, I never get back to the college. First, we did a magazine about role-playing games. Then we published our first role-playing game, then second role-playing game, and the company was slowly growing. And then we switched to board games. And believe it or not, it is very difficult to believe, especially for the German viewers. But back then, there was no board games in Poland, like literally no board games.
So not even mass market ones, or
So yeah,
just market?
so only mass market games. Only mass market games. Of course, there was Scrabble. Of course, there was Monopoly. But we didn't have this revolution. What you get with Carcassonne, Catan, Tikal, and all these games. It was not published in Poland. I guess because of the history of the communism time, different words, different times. So when I was a kid, there was no board games whatsoever. So we had to build from the scratch the board game scene in Poland. Quite a task, but we managed. So yeah, great adventure.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, and we will get to that Germany and Poland are direct neighbors and still really separated. But we will get to this a little bit later. So you started with role-playing games and moved to board games, but I guess at least first just for the Polish market, right?
Yep. So we did I think 4 or 3 small rather party games, board games, small projects. But there was no, as I said, yeah, it's really hard to believe. There was no market, so we were just trying to sell some super simple games, but it was very difficult. But we heard about this amazing fair in Germany, our neighbors, and we thought that this is our dreams. This is something that we can make a break, and indeed we did. So we printed the Narushima Hex, and with no knowledge about the German market, without any knowledge, as 2 young dudes having printed a game, and we went for the Essen, and it was a huge change and huge break. The thing that I respect a lot for the Essen, and it is continued till today, is if you're a small publisher, the Essen has this offer for a small booth, like these days, especially for the designer booth, right? Like a few €100, you're a designer, you have some Kickstarter, you can present yourself. So of course, if you're a big Asmodee, Cosmos, Ravensburger, you will pay a ton of money to have amazing booth. But if you're just a dude, just for the small country, you can still make it for Essen. And it was the case for me. I was a small company from the rather poor country. Yes, Poland is, of course, less rich than Germany. And I was able to afford to come to Essen, have a small booth, present my product. This product was good, and the company grew. So this is a dream come true. Like, this is why Essen has these booths for the smaller companies. And these days we see all these, the smaller countries from faraway countries. They come, they have one table, they have one game,
Yes.
and some of them sign a contract with the bigger publishers and grow. It was a case for me.
Yeah, excellent. And by the way, I have to interrupt this right here. So first, my volume, yes, seems to be very low, so I try to improve here. Hopefully you can hear me. Ignacy, you are totally fine. But there is also this guy, he's called Retired Steven from Stronghold. So he says hello to you, to that guy from Poland. So my audio is terribly low, so I try to increase this, but I'm not sure if this will work out. It could be that Ignacy gets even louder. Yeah, so we'll see how this will work out. So and getting back to Portal Games, to your company. So how many employees do you have now? So how is the growth rate in employees? I don't need to know any turnover figures. Just what what it, what size is your team?
Yes, at this point we have about 20 people here in Poland. So we have the whole sales team, the whole, of course, accounting team, warehouse team, the whole development team, marketing team, DTP team, logistics. So there's about 20 people working full time. We have 2 people full time in America for Portal Games US. And of course, we have a lot of contractors, translators, people who do layouts, illustrators, and this is, of course, a dozen. But if you're talking about the full-time, the person who goes every single day to the office and gets a monthly salary, 2 people in America and 20 people in Poland. So this is a rather big company for the industry here in Poland. I think that we are one of the biggest in Poland. And it started with me and Michael Orash. There was 2 of us, and over the years we are growing. I mentioned one of these breaks, SN 2007. The other break that was very important for us was 2014. So 2014 we go to Gen Con for the first time for American market with my game Imperial Settlers that was released in Germany as well. And we sold out in a half an hour. That was one of the most magical moments in my life. Like people were just rushing there to the booth. We sold out in a half an hour. During the show, that was also, I will remember it till end of my life. During the show, our distributor from ACD, our buyer Kim, greetings if Kim is watching, he approached me and he says, Ignacy, we need to talk. And I'm scared. What is this a problem? Whatever. No, come with me. We need to talk. And he tells me during the show, Ignacy, we are sold out in the distribution level. The whole print run is sold out during the con. Because what is amazing and scary in America, and we discuss it a lot when we discuss in this industry, the hype is real.
Yes.
And if you have a good hype, Americans are amazing and great and they buy everything. If there is no hype, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened in 2014 for Imperial Settlers. The game sold out in the first half an hour of the show. Everybody talks about the game, and suddenly 2 days later, during the Gen Con, it is sold out in the distribution level. And of course, we made a reprint, and the company grew. And before Gen Con, I had 4 employees. 3 months later, at the end of the year, I had eight employees. So it was like twice as big company because we immediately invested this money from the sales into a better team, a bigger team, and to grow. So SN 2007 and Gen Con 2014, 2 very successful shows that we were able to consume to grow the company.
Yeah, and I agree 100% on the hype train in the US. So this is something that is very different from European culture. Of course, we see more and more over here because everything from the US a couple of years in pop culture at least is over here. But I agree 100%. And Rob Davio, the wonderful designer, he mentioned last year at the Tabletop Networking Conference, we are all in the fashion industry. And in a way, we are. Something is in fashion for half a year, maybe just for 2 months, and you need to be there. And because a year later, something else is probably hyped more. Of course, we have our long sellers. You mentioned very early in this chat today, Noroshima Hex. This is almost 15 years in the market for constant time, which is something, which is really something. And Stephen here a couple of weeks ago, he mentioned, of course, Terraforming Mars, which is also an evergreen. But some games, they just have a very short time frame.
We had, if we can talk very transparently about these problems of the industry, we had this problem with a game called Alien Artifacts. It was released, it had a great hype, we were very happy, it was selling like crazy. We ordered a reprint. 3 months later, when the reprint arrived to America, nobody talks about the game anymore because there is a new shiny thing. Yeah. And this is dangerous. This is a problem that industry should discuss. The industry should try to find a solution. The distributors and the publishers should try to fix it because it is dangerous for the companies. If you have a hit and 3 months later this hit is already forgotten, this is bad for everybody. And this is dangerous.
Yes, I agree 100%. And getting back a little bit, stepping a little bit back from Portal games. So let's talk something about the Polish gaming market, because Germany is, of course, a direct neighbor to Poland, and still we don't know a lot about the country in general, although the country has 38 million inhabitants, so it's not a small country. But how is the state of board gaming in Poland? So how has it grown? How did you grow with your company, the market? How do you see the market right now?
The thing that how I perceive the market, and once again, probably we need some historical in 20 years to do a report, but how I saw it growing. There were basically three people whom I believe are important for the growth of the market. One of them is, of course, me, as I mentioned, because we started the whole thing, and what I did in Poland back then was I did the first, believe it or not, the first board game convention in Poland. There was no board game convention in Poland, and I came up with this idea. I stole it basically from Bruno Faiduti, Gathering of Friends. Mm-hmm. And because I saw Bruno Faiduti, Gathering of Friends, I said I can do the same. I invited my friends. We played the board games. It was amazing. And they said, okay, let's meet again. And so I invited them again and again and again. And the first Gathering of Friends from, we called it Pionek, which is in English Pawn. We had 20 attendees, my friends. The next Pionek, 3 months later, 40 attendees. The next Pionek, quarter later, 80 attendees. The next Pionek, 100 attendees. And suddenly, I became the main organizer of all conventions, board game conventions in Poland. I was doing 4 conventions a year. And I created this formula of that convention has to be free, because the board games are not popular. So it is hard to convince anybody to come because they don't know what's board game. But it's free. Yes, but it's free, it's better. Then I was doing some tricky marketing, not the lies, but the tricks. So on the posters that I was, posting on in the city, I was making information, board games from all over the world, which was technically true because it is from France, El Grande is from Germany, but it works. In marketing, it sounds very well. We say the board games from all the world, come learn them for free. So that was a formula. Free event, volunteers that teach these games, have these games for free, given to people like a library, and just do it as often as possible. So I was doing this 4 times a year, and this formula was implemented by our friends in different cities. And suddenly, after 2 or 3 years, we had like 20 conventions all over the Poland with the same one formula. For free library, and the posters that says, come this weekend to learn these games from the whole of the world. So this was one of the steps. We made a ton of conventions for free and a ton of volunteers who was just teaching, and it was growing. The other thing was Rebel. Today, Asmodee Poland. Yes. Back then, my friends, Rebel Games, and they did something amazing. As they were a web store, they were importing the games to Poland, as the web stores do. But what they did, and it was amazing effort and amazing investment, they were paying for translation of the rule books from English to Polish. They were putting printed on the regular printer from the office these rule books in Polish to every copy of the game they were selling. So you can imagine what's the investment for every game they had in the offer. They paid for the translation, but they knew we are investing in the market, we are building a market, nobody knows English, we need to help these people. So Rebel became extremely popular because you were able to buy the games from foreign countries with the Polish rulebook. And it was a major step to make games popular. And the third pillar, in my perception, was the company Galacta, who back then was releasing puzzles and some mass market crappy games, no offense. But they saw that the geeks are starting to do something, that there's a revolution coming, and they reacted extremely well. They contacted Cosmos and brought the license for Settlers of Catan, and they contacted FFG, and they brought to Poland Drakon, Citadels, and Cave Troll. So this is year 2004, 2005. So we have, on one hand, we have me, who is like organizing people and making conventions and making a noise, like I always do, a noise. You had this Rebel who was investing money in translating, like providing Polish rulebooks to everything they could. And you had this one publisher who had experience in publishing, signed good deals, and started publishing Settlers of Catan in Poland and Citadels. And over the years, it's exploded. And then, of course, more publishers, more amazing people with the talent, more people working in the industry. And from the scratch, from 0 board games in Poland, we made one of the biggest industry in Europe, basically.
Yeah, this is really amazing because we are not talking about 50 years. So it's really
It's
interesting.
2000, 2005, 2006 when these three people, when the Galacta was in Krakow, Rebel was in Gdańsk, and I was in Silesia. So three different parts of the country, and three people with the vision, everybody doing their best to build this industry, and together we made it. Basically, now we are talking about the real industry in Poland.
Yeah, wonderful. So nowadays, another question here: what is the first foreign language that that kids, teenagers learn
At
Poland?
this Poland, in this Poland, mandatory school in schools is English. So English is the chosen language. And
So
for example, in Silesia, of course, we also have in schools German language. So ich heiße Ignacy Trzewiczek, ich wohne in Gliwice, and that kind of jazz.
perfect. So we should switch to German right now. So that's amazing. But you are still in need of not only for mass markets or for family type games, but also for core games. You need Polish rules, or are English language games are also imported to Poland? Because that was the origins for my questions. What are young people learning first?
Yeah, so of course, when we do Polish edition of games, they will be so much more popular than English ones. The core geeks, those who sit day and night on Board Game Geek, who watch Tom Vassell, of course, they speak English the way I speak and the way you speak. We are geeks. We can communicate in English. We know what the discard means, what drafting means, and we understand rule books. Yes. But of course, if you want to release a game, if you want to publish it in 2,000 or 3,000 copies, you definitely, of course, need Polish rules. So of course, there is all these, I guess, few hundreds of people who back Kickstarters, who get the original games. But to go to retailers, to go to stores, of course, definitely you need the Polish rules.
Yeah, okay. So, and I need to look into the chat. So I'm smiling here a little bit. So one guy says, well, because my volume apparently is very low, we are not here to listen to Uli anyway. So he's right. So of course, that's true. What can I say? And this Stephen again is there. Let's switch to German. So we can do so. But Stephen, then next time I listen to Board Game Insider, you have to be in Italian all the time, so or some other language. So
If we switch to German, Steven verstehst nichts, so that is not a good idea.
exactly. But we have another question here from Markus, from a German gamer. So Ignacy, how did you decide which games to bring to Poland in the beginning? And were these only games you liked yourself, or how did you choose them?
This is amazing question, and once again, if we talk seriously, if we talk real situation in the market, it changed over the years. So exactly the case that at the very beginning, like 5 years ago, for example, when we were heavily investing in licenses, I was picking the games that I loved, that I felt they are amazing. And over the years, I had to change my perception and my business decisions to bring games that, of course, are still good, the games that I still like, but the most important, if they are popular, if they have a hype, if the original publisher can bring a hype for this game, because otherwise there's so many games that just having a great game is not enough. So, for example, we did amazing games from Level 99 Games, American publisher, Pixel Tactics, amazing two-player game. We did it in Poland, and it didn't catch up because Level 99 Games is not a famous company. They didn't have amazing marketing. Nobody knew about these games, and nobody was interested. So now these days, it's for us is a extremely difficult situation. When we go to the Essen, we bring all these samples of amazing games, we play test them, we test them, and then there is this decision when we have two great games, and we will pick the one that has a probably bigger publisher who has better marketing, who will help us make a better marketing for the game,
Yes.
And we have to give up on the games that are less popular because what we mentioned before, hype is the king in these days. So for me as a designer, it's very difficult. I feel pain when we have to. When we play test the game, we like the game, and we say no. And this is devastating for me. But I have 20 employees. I am responsible for their families. I'm responsible for the company. And I must think about invoices and budget. And I'm making sometimes very difficult decisions, saying no to the game that is amazing, but there's no hype for it.
Yeah. I totally understand, and especially I can see the burden that it is. So burden is probably the wrong term, but if you have to do the paychecks for 20 employees each month, I totally understand. This is
Yep.
a responsibility that needs to be done. I would briefly like to talk about online conventions, but I see here one or two questions that probably should be answered right now. So one can be answered very quickly. Maybe an Ignacy game by Spielworxx in the future? I don't think so, because Ignacy is smart. Why should he move a game to Spielworxx? I don't. I'd love to do a game because Ignacy, as maybe some people do not know, so shame on you. But Ignacy is not only running Portal games, but he's also a great designer. So a lot of the games designed by Portal Games are actually his designs. But I still think it's not a good fit there if I do the game. So yeah, so I don't think you need to comment on that. But
For
another
sure, for sure. But for sure, I can comment that we did the Macher in Poland because we do and like similar games, these heavy games. Like your company is releasing a heavy game, so from your catalog, once again, talking about the hype, from your catalog, I respect and like many games. We picked the Macher because it had the hype, because it was the first game released in a Board Game Geek. It is the game that is famous one, legendary one. So that was a chance for me to we are friends, but now we were able to do a business cooperation because out of your catalog, this one had this hype. Yes, this is exactly what I said. So I was happy to release it in Poland, and I was not afraid that we will have a problem marketing it. So once again,
Yeah, but then come COVID, so
yep,
no three-player game. So 3 to 5
that
is Die
was
Macher. So
yeah,
that was a
that was difficult.
brilliant timing. But we have another question here. Does American hype for games work in Poland too? Or do you need to build your own hype for the Polish market?
Yeah, so we definitely, when we license the games, we need the hype from the original publisher. I'm good in marketing. I have an amazing team of marketing people. But if the game doesn't have raving reviews on the internet, it doesn't have a good rating on Board Game Geek, I will do nothing. Like geeks are well educated. They look at the Board Game Geek, and I can talk amazing things about the game. If they see rating 6.2. I'm done. Like
Yeah.
this is nothing that I can do. So definitely we need the original game to have a good hype, and then I can boost it, I can help it, I can do my magic. But it's very hard to do a hype if there is nothing from the original publisher.
Yeah, I understand. So we have one final question before we go to the online brief discussion. And this is a very nice comment here. Hello, just wanted to show you both my appreciation for your contribution to board game industry. Thank you, best wishes. But really, we too have to say thank you for all this, for being here, for supporting two tabletop companies. And so thank you very much. This is heartfelt. So excellent. So, but Ignacy, you have a lot of experience with online conventions. So you having observed quite a few, but more importantly, you have run not only one, but already two. So first PortalCon in Polish, and then last weekend PortalCon in English language. So can you tell us, or can you share something? Do you have some lessons that you could tell us?
Yeah, so we are all learning, and this is a very hard experience for everybody in the industry. I recorded my vlog, online conventions are a must, like a few months ago, uh, because nobody was realizing that, yes, this is the year for the online convention, we cannot escape that. And now we see different conventions going to online, different companies like Simon Expo, Renegade Games Con, and PortalCon trying to engage their fans. It is very difficult. We put a ton of effort to engage our fans to create amazing content, but it is all new for the fans, and it is a lesson for all of us how to consume online conventions. What's the value in an online convention? If I go physically to the convention, I can play a game, I can meet somebody, I can take a signed copy of the game, for example, I can take a selfie with the designer.
Yes.
Online convention will not provide me that. So what online convention can provide me instead? And this is what we all, people who organize these conventions, are now need to figure out. What we can offer different than Cell with the Eric Lang, different than Short Chat with Bruno Catala, different than having a demo of the new game. We tried this past weekend, we did online convention, and it was especially interesting experiment for me because I precisely, when I was building a program for this convention, I created a very different event. So on one hand, we had many gameplays of the new releases. So this it was a simulation of what's going on at the regular convention. You were able to see the new product before its release, like at convention. So we did 3 gameplays of the products that were not yet released. On the other hand, we did some funny things like board game stand-up, like Wiz and Wagers, a fun edition, like a quiz for the fans, to make it just a silly. At the regular convention, like at Spiel or Gen Con, there is not many silly moments. So I said maybe online convention can win with something comedy pieces. Maybe board gamers like comedy pieces. Then we, of course, did something that was more interaction, so Q&As with our fans and tour around our offices to show them our offices and chat with engage with the chat. Because once again, if you go to Essen, if you're lucky, you're able to find me around the corridors and maybe make a selfie. But here in the live chat, you can actually type in things and I will respond. So this is a more easy way to catch with Ignacy, or maybe if Simon does it with chat with Eric Lang. Yes. So at this point, I was trying to create a very different events, a very different program events. And now we are analyzing. We are now looking at our stats. We are looking at which events had the most views, which events had the most engagement, which were popular. We already have a poll on our social media, which events you appreciated the most. And you know, the funny thing, the most answers are that people appreciated the most tour around our HQ. So this is something that for me is a very unusual. Like for me, it's just regular office, like nothing interesting here. This is my daytime job. Yes, for our viewers, for geeks, a chance to see actual offices of the board game publisher. This is something interesting, and most of them said that the tour around the office was the best. So we are learning. We are looking what we can give interesting instead of direct contact at the convention. And I think that at this point, nobody in the industry knows what we can offer. Board Game Geek did a virtual con that was done all on the Discord and Tabletopia. This is difficult because on one hand, of course, I prefer to play on Tabletopia than not play whatsoever. But it is very difficult to play on this game. These e-versions are fiddly. You don't know how to move this mouse. These cards are dropped. Like this is a pain in the ass. So this virtual convention was one of the solutions. I'm not sure if it will be a good solution for the future. We will see. The other solution we did just a streaming, just events. We engaged with some of the fans, but on the other hand, there was not much playing, not much other attractions. Then we had Gen Con, and the Gen Con is all about the events. So they have the list of all the different events, and you are just like a menu in a restaurant, like what I want to do now is. And there's a ton of things that you can do, and all of them you can just watch or engage in Discord. So at this point, I would say that everybody is experimenting. Everybody is watching what will catch up, what will be in this hit. I'm not sure if we have at this point in the industry the idea what board gamers want. The most popular so far online convention was Dice Tower Spectacular, and basically what they did was just stream all the time like board game marathon. So it was the easiest way basically. They just turned on cameras and had fun, right? Yeah. And we need to figure out what gamers want. The next one is Gen Con, then we will have a UK Game Expo, then we'll have a Spiel, and I guess that end of the year, after the Spiel, we will have to re-evaluate, think what was popular, what gamers saying, because I'm from Poland, I'm skeptic, I'm always Slavic, I'm always complaining, and my perception is January 1st, it is not the magic wand that COVID will be gone. No. So our perception is that, okay, just survive this year and the next year everything will be back. I'm not sure if everything will be back. We see more and more COVID cases in America. We see more and more cases everywhere, basically. And I don't believe that the end of this year, suddenly, January 1st, okay, commercial season is back. No. So I would say learn analyze, watch carefully what online conventions are doing, and let us learn, let us take the conclusions.
Yeah. So, but your online conventions were 2 days, right, each? And getting back to your streaming of games. So you mentioned you were not using, did I get this right? Not using Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator or Vessel.
We
So you had the games really set up in your office and then you streamed playing them, or how did you do this?
Yes, yeah, exactly that. So we have a couple of our titles on Tabletopia, but because I know that this is fiddly, so we were not pushing it very strongly. Like people were able to play on Tabletopia, but mostly we were focusing on we provide entertainment. So we had our cameras, we had our tables, we had our components, and what I told my team when we were streaming, remember people are watching you. That means that you interact with them, you check if there are any questions about the rules, because they are watching you like at the convention and you are a demoer. So you have to demo this game. So don't be too much involved in gameplay. You don't need to win this demo game. Like you don't do the combos, yes? Just be sure that people who are watching are entertained. They know that you are doing it for them, that if they have any smallest question about the rule, about the card, about what happened, you stop the game, you explain them what happened, because this is for them, not for you to just win. And I'm happy how we did it. We have a good feedback. Everybody was enjoying me dying on Robinson Crusoe. So it was fun event. Then I played against my developer. So I'm co-designer of Empires of the North with John Nakijanka, my developer. So we made a fun event that I was trying to challenge and defeat her. I did not. She kicked my ass. So we try to make it entertaining, present the game, and mostly before the chat. Be understanding that this is people are watching, and we need to discuss with them, engage them, because this is for them, not for us.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I think that people want to see if people want to see Portal Games content, they want to see first and foremost, of course, Ignacy. They want to play the games, but you have to bring yourself into the light. That's what it is. So before we round out this for today, I have one or two more questions or comments. So from Matt Wolf, so another great designer, how was the stand-up comedy received? Are you going on tour, Ignacy? So, so how was this received?
So the comments are very positive. I saw the number of views. Like this one video, Port Game Stand Up, since the end of the conventions has the highest rate of more views. Like the more people are watching it every single hour. So I guess somebody is recommending it to friends. So it has more views every single hour. So it makes me very very happy. Actually, I did a tour with this stand up in Polish last year, because last year we were celebrating 20 years of Portal Games, and to celebrate, I visited a couple of cities in Poland to meet with the fans, and it was this my seminar, this speech that fans called Stand Up, because this seminar was called History of Portal Games, but it was very fun, so everybody was talking, Ignacy, this is stand up, this is not history, this is stand up. But yes, I did a tour and it was very funny for online convention, because there was no living audience, so I had to just record it. So it was very awkward situation to talk jokes in an empty room and believing that somebody will laugh when they watch. So it was very difficult for me, but I see in the comments that people enjoy that, so you can find it on YouTube, Board Game Stand Up from Portal Games. And apparently it was funny. Steven can say something, because I know that he was watching.
He's already doing some stuff over
Yeah.
there. So because there was also a question, is this on YouTube, and already answered by you and
YouTube.
already answered by Steven, but a question by Matt. So Steven, Ignacy, you two should have a comedy battle after you retire. So not a question, but just a comment. So maybe you can manage this. You know, Steven has all the time starting from August anyway. From Karthik. Hello, Karthik. So my good friend from Düsseldorf. Any comments on the current updates about Spiel Digital? Uh, uh, from me, no. I think they, as I mentioned at the start of this show, so I had a long talk with Dominique today on the phone, and that was very nice. But still, for a small publisher, for me, I'm a little bit skeptical. But I want this, as Ignacy also said. I want that Spiel Digital is a success. But it's a very complex thing, and as already said before, nobody really knows what will happen. So we'll see.
If I may comment, this is one thing that is very very important. Like I have quite a huge confidence in Essen team and that they can pull it off. I basically have a trust in German people. You know how to achieve goals basically. This is my opinion. But there is one thing that Essen will prepare a good convention, but to be successful, there has to be people. So the question is not just to have amazing live streams, to have the amazing program, to have a good website, to have a good offer for the attendees, but to have these attendees. And what we see at this very point, we are recording in the middle of July. Board Game Geek Virtual Con was quite a success, but there was not like thousands of people, but just hundreds of people. At the Dice Tower Spectacular, there were hundreds of people, not thousands of people. At my convention, there were about 200 people, not thousands of people. And Essen, we know Essen as the 100,000 of people, yes? And then we can see for example, for the Spiel Digital, there will be only 500 people, or 1,000 people, or 5,000 people. It is not as in the physical form. So on one hand, I think the big challenge for Spiel, and I keep my fingers crossed because I absolutely support them, is to create a good convention, and I have full confidence they will do it, but then to somehow convince people to be online during this weekend.
Yeah, no, these were very great, and I 100% support this. Very great last words. Well, I see another question, no, another comment again from Karthik. So I will miss buying the games directly, but I hope we have alternatives to buy. Yeah, you can buy online, so Spiel Digital will make it happen. But of course, it's a different experience, and we all have to cope with this. It will be, yeah, just different. But thank you all for your time, and of course, Ignacy, that was wonderful. It is the longest show I ever did. But it was really great having you here. I think we all learned quite a bit, and it was interesting to also know something more about the Polish market. And you can all look at the YouTube videos. You can watch them. You will find the Portal Games channel easily. And next year, yeah, you have to bear with me. It's just a regular episode with me presenting some Spielworxx and industry news. So thank you for your time. If you would like to talk about something in advance or have a specific question in advance, just drop me a mail at uli@spielworxx.de. That is uli@spielworxx.de. And I will try to have this question topic in my next episode. So till then, bleibt gesund, and of course, Black Lives Matter. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.